Good to see you.
Oh, good to be back.
Man, we got all kinds of people already joining us here. It's great. We're here at our home base.
Love it.
22nd Street Landing in beautiful San Pedro, California. Is it gorgeous out there or what?
Nothing like it.
January, I mean, shoot. January is gone.
January's gone. You believe that?
No.
Ooh.
No, I don't know if that's an old man's thing or
real.
what. But man, time is just zooming by on us. And we're already kind of creeping toward springtime fishing. I mean,
Yeah,
we're not there yet, but we're getting close all the time here.
Killed off your first show.
Yeah, right.
And this time of year, December, January, February, and March were all my big fish fishing. Those were my months. Been hard to find me at this time of the year.
Yes.
Back then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we had a good time at the Bard Hall show.
That's awesome. Yeah.
At the Hall show, a lot of fun. The kids' trout pond was cranking, and that ladies seminar. We did a seminar with the ladies, and they were really good, Danny.
Well, that's awesome.
I think
That's good.
there's a lot of good lady anglers out
Yeah,
there.
you know what? There's some awesome ones. Really, really good ones. Yeah, for sure.
All right, don't forget, everybody, this Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, 6:30 in the morning, Surfside, California. We'll be down there doing a surf fishing event. You're all invited. We'd love to have you down there. Just send me a text if you want further information. Come down, put a chair up, kick back, drink some coffee, eat a donut, maybe catch a surf fish. 657-227-6459 if you'd like to join us. Dan Smith from San Diego, California says, hello, Phil, Captain Danny, and all you great fishing folks watching. Hope you are all doing good. Dan, thank you so much. That means the world to both Danny
Absolutely.
and I. And the world famous angler Todd Woods. You know Todd, don't you?
Yes.
You sure?
We had him in here, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, Todd was in here.
Todd says hello, and man, Todd, we miss you. We need to get you in here again really, really soon. Gonzalez Fishing 247. Hello, good afternoon, Phil and Danny. Afternoon to you, my friend. Hope you are doing great at Gonzalez Fishing. I was going to say Pescando Gonzalez, but really, really good stuff. So a lot to talk about, Danny. We can get into some of the fishing that's going on. Of course, everybody's worried about this no-take sand bass. A lot of people have signed the petitions. We've been promoting the fact that you have some input in this. Keep our fingers crossed on this one.
You know, Phil, I get so tired of dealing with decisions made by biologists and guys. They're not fishermen, so their heart's not in it. Number one, two, their only agenda is getting grant money from the state. For their studies up at UC Santa Barbara or wherever it might be, but it's not for the concern of the fishermen. As fishermen, we will do what we got to do to conserve the fish.
Yeah.
To do it, but more importantly, I think as fishermen, we understand the fish. And these biologists, over the years, what I knew and what I saw, what a joke. They had no idea they're migratory. We knew it because of the days of, when we left here in San Pedro to go down for the summertime, we'd be tracking those sand bass coming uphill the whole time.
From
They
the
spawned down,
Mexican
down
coast.
all the way up the Mexican coast to San Diego, up the line, until they got up in the Horseshoe and, up the local area, and then they finish off. They don't go above Conception, but you'll see them up in the Channel Islands. And, it was just, I mentioned this before, where biologists said, well, having a depletion of these sand bass, their cows. I said, well, what time of year is the census taken? Well, it's late in the fall. I said, well, yeah, they should be. By the fall, they're headed back to spawn down.
They're out of here.
Well, they didn't even know that, But then you're talking about biologists in college. And for what we know of what the colleges are kicking out mentality-wise, that pretty much explains everything.
Yeah, right.
It really does.
Right.
And so we would refute that. Russ Iser, myself, we used to go up there and say, you know what? Are you guys stupid? And Russ would say, yeah, certainly. He didn't pull any play. He was awesome. I miss him. That's who we need for doing stuff like this. And
No filter,
this
right?
Said, oh, no filter.
I know.
He told the truth, though.
Yes.
That was, it hurt them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I should mention that Michael Limode, everybody, is down there fishing on the docks. Of course, if you're a regular here on the Danny Kadota Show, you know that part of the show is Michael running in here every time he catches a fish, we establish an over-under line right now, and then you get to bet over or under. I'm going to put Michael's at 3 today, only because he's been fishing for a half hour and hadn't caught anything. So
It's a little,
three
it's cooled off a little bit
fish.
too.
Yeah, three fish. So if you bet over, Michael will catch 4. If you bet under, it'll be 1 to 2. And then you're even if he hits the 3 number. Vegas odds here on Michael Limon. No doubt about it. Hey, Danielle Sansi just says hello to us. Daniel, great to see you. That is Sarge. Todd Wood says, wow, this is live. I love it. I'm fishing Lake Shasta right now. It's cold.
Wow.
Let's make a date to be on the show. We would love it,
Todd.
Todd.
Yeah.
In fact, Todd, give us an update. What's biting at Lake Shasta right now, man? We'd love to hear a little bit more on that. Southern Halley. Thank you, Starlink, Elon Musk, for giving me Wi-Fi. I get to watch the show while we take a break from work. Still out here working on restoring power to those affected by the fires. Southern Halley, you're doing great work for those people. Thank you so much. You're right there with the first responders and everybody else out there
That's awesome.
doing that. That is fantastic. Elon Musk with Starlink. Man, I got to get my Starlink here pretty soon. I want to sit in the Baja Desert, remote Baja Desert, with Dan Lightfoot and Danny Kadota around a campfire and do a podcast. Wouldn't that be cool, man?
We're going to have to do that.
With a Starlink.
We'll move down, yeah.
Or shoot, Gonzaga Bay.
Meet us down at Bay of LA.
Bay of LA.
Oh my God, that would be some stuff to shoot there.
You love fishing there, right?
Oh, I love it down there. Absolutely one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are nice. Fishing's great.
Phenomenal.
And the sense of an adventure is there, right?
Oh. When it goes back in time, Phil. It's not like, the price. Well, and here's another thing. The prices go back in time.
Right.
I mean, they're unbelievable compared to, U.S. prices. Of course, we have to contend with higher fuel costs and everything else and all the red tape, but it's still really reasonable. It's just a great experience. You go out and have an excellent dinner for hardly anything. The lodging's cheap. I mean, it's, by our standards, it's one of the best
real
deals.
bargain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People are great. And there's just certain protocols. So, we'll talk about that. But, I mean, there's certain protocols when you travel down there just to be safe. You always caravan.
Yeah.
There's do's and don'ts. And,
Yeah, of
and
course.
we'll fill you in on all those things. But,
Yes.
other than that, it's phenomenal. I mean, it flat out. Just as much fish down there than anywhere else. So.
Would you really?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
What kind of fish do you catch in the Bay of LA?
I love fishing the cabria.
Right.
I mean, it's like fishing
Calico bass on
calico
steroids.
bass on steroids.
Yeah.
And you hook them and they're more like a yellow. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll put their heads down. You're fishing little heavier line, but fishing the swim baits and the big plastic hard baits and stuff
Yeah.
like it. What a blast!
No, heck
What a
yeah.
blast. And then one day you'll fish yellowtail, and it's almost. I shouldn't say that. I don't want to jinx myself, but it was too easy last time.
Yeah.
I made 5 casts and I was done.
Really?
You just firing nose hook a mac, flip it out, you
Boom.
pull up on a bunch, and you're done in 5 casts. It's crazy.
Oh my God,
It was
that is
crazy.
so
we,
cool.
We made it early day, but there's so many different varieties and species to hit, and the type of fishing. And then one day we'll fish, and my very favorite fish to eat. It's called a baqueta. It's a grouper, folks. And so we're fishing 400 feet. So you have to bring from a lighter 25 pound, so for throwing the swim baits and things like that, to 100 pound, because these baqueta are not only the best eating fish, but they're tough. They're tough. And, you get pinned on one, with 100 pound and they'll rock you. So
In fact, if I remember, you've said many times before that it may be one of your favorite fish to eat. Is that true?
absolutely is my favorite.
Really?
Fish. It's phenomenal.
And sometimes they're deeper than 400 feet, aren't they, or not?
Yeah, they can be.
Yeah,
they
right?
can be. Yeah.
And when you hook them,
Yeah.
they start pulling line. You got to get them out of the structure.
You got to put the screws to them.
And they're big, right?
Yeah.
Like what size are the size on those things?
Well, I have one of the pictures. I have to pull that up for you. But, a nice one's 50, 60 pounds, maybe bigger, but they, you got to get their heads. You got to get them off the bottom.
Do they
'cause
fight you all the way to the surface, or do their air bladder blow?
Once it blows, yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to get them off the bottom.
Yeah.
So you got to put the screws to them. I'm fishing big 1,000 accurate, and I keep it in low till I get it off the bottom.
Yeah.
I just keep turning, and I'm fishing a railroad that I fish for big tuna. So that's what it takes to muscle these things, you know. And then we've been innovating with Steve. You told me, and we did the overnights. My God, unbelievable!
Oh,
What a
that's right.
Beautiful trip, you know.
So
And-
what you guys did was normally when you go fishing, you go down, it's daybreak, you get on your ponga, you load everything on, you run to the area, and now it's
No,
7 o'clock in the
whoa,
morning
whoa.
or something.
You missed the big
You
part.
guys leave
Yeah.
the night before, right?
No, we leave at the same time. But here's the deal. Here's the big
Yeah.
difference. Now, this is the biggest part of it all.
Yes.
When you launch the ponga,
Yeah.
you make the bait probably within 100 yards.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and clouds of mackerel, you know, ranging from 6 inches to, you know, your standard 10, 12. You know,
Oh,
big
yeah.
ones, right?
Yeah.
So we get a nice mix of mackerel, fill the tanks, you know, but it takes maybe an hour and a half to jug it because the whole ponga fleet's there, right? And then we shoot off. Takes us maybe an hour and a half or whatever it might be to get where we're going.
Yeah.
And then fish for the day. You know, you come back in probably 1 o'clock, 2, because you're limited. Target a new species the next day. But Steve thought of this, and this is why I travel with Steve.
Uh-huh.
He told me, because he does a lot of innovative things, and he said, you know, we're going to do a camp over. And I said, wow, we're in. We're in. Not everybody wanted it. They want to go back out, come back into the dock, go have, you know, dinner in a
Couple
nice
drinks.
and a nice restaurant, you know,
Yeah.
in town, which is great. And,
Yeah.
But I'm too much of a fishing nut.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you look at me and tell me what are my greatest times that I'm going to target during the day to fish, it's early morning, late evening.
Yeah, always,
Okay,
right?
so now-
Magical.
When you're ponga, you're missing the early morning because you're making bait
Right.
and you're running to get out there.
Yes.
And then you're done at noon. So what do you miss in the afternoon?
Yeah.
The evening bite. So when Steve brought this up, I says, we're in. I'm in. You know, my brother, we're going to go.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. And I got to tell you, you know, we hit that first day, we had 95 cabria and
95 cabrilla.
No,
Wow.
mind you, there's a limit. We
Yeah.
can only keep 5, right? My shoulder was aching so bad. I put down the rod, and Steve is yelling. You told me he's yelling at me. Hey, we need 5 more fish to get 100. We had 95. And I said, I'm done. I'm done. And my brother put down his rod, so I had my son Corey with me. Corey was the only one that kept pushing. So we ended with 95. We went in, got the fire going. We cooked at the island. Put up a tent. It was the most beautiful night sitting there. So we never had to put on a jacket or anything. Just had our t-shirts on and shorts.
Wow. That
Looking at the
sounds-
stars, it's just like you could reach out and grab them. You know,
Yeah.
it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. One of the finest fishing trips ever. you know.
Yeah.
And then we woke up in the morning, and we whacked off a few fish. We went over 100 with the group. You
Yeah.
know. And I said, I don't do this often. It's very rare. It's about 9:15. I said, let's go home. He goes, no, really. He says, no, we're done. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. And I didn't realize it until I got home and had my shoulder x-rayed. My arm, I pulled my arm out of the socket, my
Oh, my
shoulder
God.
socket.
Really?
And that's why it hurt from fishing the career, but it was worth it.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'm stupid enough to still tell you it was worth it because I'm a nut. Yeah.
Wow,
But-
that sounds so awesome.
But, you know,
though.
that whole trip, and then one day you do the Baqueta deal. Well, the first day, we made mackerel.
Yeah.
Ran out. I made 5 casts, and I was limited on yellows. You know, and not little ones. They're all beautiful. You know, you're fishing nice max, you know, so you're getting nice
18,
fish.
20, 25 pounders. Yeah.
Beautiful
Nice fish.
So, you know, it's just a phenomenal trip, you know. Phenomenal trip. It's just the overall experience with the people down there so nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the pricing's going back in time, who knows how many years. but
Yeah.
A lot longer than what we've been paying for years.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing. You know, it's just phenomenal.
You
That's
guys
a deal.
probably drove through Mexicali, right?
We did that one time, and then Steve's down in Rosarito.
Oh, so you go to Rosarito and go down
two
that
of us.
way.
And here's the other thing too is, and when you're dealing with Steve, he knows all the protocols. I don't care whether you fish with him here or I fish with him in Guyana and down in Brazil. Understanding all the different protocols when you travel to different destinations is important.
Yes.
I mean, your life depends on it. I kid you not. So he will tell you a lot of stuff. And over the years, I've learned just by watching him. But even when we're at a checkpoint, you know, I'll roll. They want the window down in my Sequoia, so I'll roll it back down. And he'll say, "Don't look back." If you look back, you know, they see your eyes looking back.
Yeah.
They probably assume you're guilty or something, right?
Yeah.
Whether you are or not. So there's just different things that, you know, I love fishing with Steve because it's those little subtle things
Yeah.
that keep you from having any hassles
Yeah.
or anything. You know?
Oh,
So
yeah.
those are important. All those little things are important.
I pulled up to one of those checkpoints with my wife sitting next to me once, and I said to the federale, he was looking in, and I go, "Can you do me a favor?" And he said, "What?" And I go, "Can you put her in jail for like, I just need 3 hours. I don't want you to keep her any longer than she's going, Felipe, Felipe." And I'm going, "Just 3 hours. Can you?" And these guys are just on the floor laughing, man. They were laughing their
I love it.
butts off, man.
love
And Ruth is like, "Felipe, I'm going to matarte, kill you." You know, it was really funny. And I said to those guys, I go, "Hey, are you guys allowed to accept food or, you know, drinks or anything?" "No, senor, we can't do that." And I go, "Well, I just might make a mistake and leave some stuff behind. How's that sound?" And pretty much, go through it. And I left, you know, a case of
that's the other
drinks
part
there,
because
and-
we've never had a problem.
Yeah,
they're so
no.
good, really, and like we said, there's certain protocols that you follow.
Yeah.
And it's good to have that educational part, you know, on all those protocols before you go anywhere.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. I mean,
No
you
matter
gotta
what
know.
country you go to, it's
That's
different.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
true. Yeah, for sure. All right. Yeah, I love traveling to Mexico. There's nothing like it. Dan Smith says, let's see. Oh, Dan Smith says, "Get a Michael." So he's rooting for Michael. You didn't put your over/under in, Dan. Todd Wood says the spotted bass are munching at Lake Shasta.
They're fun stuff. They're
Yeah.
beautiful.
Have you caught those before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you like
Oh
fishing
yeah,
those?
yeah. Even Shasta, I caught them at Shasta.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Dan
Fun stuff.
Smith says, "Get him, Todd." I don't think Todd's getting them, Dan. That is for sure. Matthew Martin joins us. Hey, Matthew. Hope you're having a great afternoon, my friend. Hey, guys. Great show. To fish the island, I'm guessing Catalina, or fishing any island, what is your preference, full moon or new moon? Danny is a sport fishing captain. Did you care? Did it make a difference to you?
You know, he had all kinds of theories over the time. You know, my grandfather hated the full moons. You know, I found out that during different periods during the full moon, you absolutely get some of the best bites you could ever get.
Yeah.
And that applied a lot to my freshwater bass fishing, you know. So I always fished an entire moon phase. Sometimes I fished 7 days through the whole thing. And you'd have a couple tough days. It's just like anything else. A couple good days
Yeah.
and a few mediocre days. But you know, if you miss one of those good days, so what do you have now? You have a mediocre week.
Yes.
You know, and if you hit a couple of them, man, you're in.
Yeah, heck
It's
yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, it's about putting your time in. You know, but the spots having to do with the moon condition was one. Also, the way the currents are running, and that was the thing is when we were freshwater bass fishers, you know, it's just like fishing the ocean, you know, and that's why you fish with captains that understand that, you know, and it was even more so on the lakes, and it took us to double anchor to really establish which way the current was going on these lakes. Some were a little more subtle than others,
Yeah.
but current had a lot to play, just like any type of fishery, you know. Current is a huge part of where and when those fish bite, you know. So understanding that made a big difference in our approach to trophy fishing.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Dan Smith says, Kim caught a baqueta off La Jolla. I remember that 2 years ago. Very rare. And yes, Danny, that is one good eating fish. Leave it to Kim. Damn, those fish love her. I love Kim too. What are you talking about, man? Carnivore diet with Kim.
Oh my God, that's a treat. Yeah,
Catching one off La Jolla is
absolutely
pretty darn rare,
Holy
right?
smokes, that's phenomenal.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Dan. Andrew H. Hey, Danny, I just got my father a collection of the old GC lures, jigs he used as a boy. Are there any other old jigs that might be fun to use with him? Well, that's pretty nostalgic. One thing I would do is Scott Manson in that book he's got out, he's got one on Taddy Lures and then he's got one on surface iron. Andrew, you might want to check that out because he's got, all kinds of jigs
yeah,
listed in his new book. You remember any old jigs that might be cool to...
You know where mine are at? They're at Taddy's.
Oh, really?
I put them all my schnabels and Clydes and putters and stuff like that, and they were all predecessors, and I have a lot of the stuff that old man Taddy Schmutzer would come down to the boat right here at 22nd Street and bring us our bags.
Oh, yeah, I remember those days.
Oh, my God, it was heaven.
Yep.
He and his son, the baby, Billy, would come around when Billy was still pretty young,
Yeah.
But yeah. No,
Speaking of Teddy, Joey's sending down a whole bunch of rods and other stuff to the kids on Cedros
that's
Island.
awesome.
I
That's
was
awesome.
standing with him at the
Yeah.
show, and he dedicated to doing that. One thing, Andrew, one of my favorite jigs as a kid, I'm sure Danny fished them too, but we would catch barracuda, yellowtail, calico bass, you name it, pep jigs. Did you ever fish pep jigs?
No, because I came from this side.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was over in the Santa Monica Bay. A guy named Earl Pace made
Yeah,
those.
and I remember them though.
Yeah.
We used to have the guys on our boats come
Oh
out.
my God! Did those things
Yeah.
fish good? They're they got a broken kind of design to
Yeah.
them, with this dip and whoa!
Yeah.
Especially that purple and black lure. We used to just slay the bass with that thing. It
Yeah, a
was
lot of the
such a
Redondo
good
boys
jig.
that came over here to 22nd Street would have the pep jigs that we'd be fishing at Catalina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd Woods. Todd says Tony Reyes does charter through the Longfin. Awesome fishing. I go around the 4th of July every single year. About $1,500 is what Todd says that'll set you back. So again, super affordable. And I've heard nothing but great things about those Tony Reyes.
We see the
trips.
Reyes boats right there.
Oh, do you?
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they launch the pongas and they keep them out in the water, and they're fishing more of I would say the north end of the island.
Yeah.
For the most part, So we do a lot of running, and we could do a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fish, as far as I know, the tenders get back and they put their boats back at the boat, and they'll have dinner and they get a night's sleep, whatever. Maybe
Yeah.
have a little tequila or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we're pretty hardcore. I mean, we're off and we're fishing that whole
Fishing hard.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where I hung it up after we.
Yeah, that's
after we
incredible,
went over.
man.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
I don't believe you quit fishing.
Well, yeah, when your arms out of the socket, they had
Yeah.
a little bit to do with it.
That's for sure. Thanks for sharing that, Todd. Chuck Zimmer from Z Custom Rods. Chuck, good to see you. Says, hi, fellas. Have you guys caught sablefish? Number one. And he says, I hear they cook up really good. Go ahead. I have.
It's a black cod.
Correct.
It's a black cod, Chuck, and it is because one of the best fish you can get in some of the high-end restaurants in town. You'll hear it in Japanese restaurants as miso butterfish, and that's what it's like. It's like a butterfish. I mean, but it's just phenomenal. Yes,
Oh, they're good, aren't they?
excellent.
Chuck, back in the day when I was a kid, we'd go out in the frickin' Redondo barge and catch 100 of those things. Frickin' on a
We didn't know we had
5-hook Ganyan. And they were like, I specifically remember guys saying, oh, this kind of crappy sable.
Trash fish.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, take them to a Japanese restaurant.
Oh,
See how
my
mu-
God.
Yeah, you load your pockets with trash.
Yeah, exactly. They are friggin' pricey right now,
Oh,
right?
big time.
Yeah. So, and I'll tell you one other thing, Danny and Chuck, since you brought it up, talking about these sablefish or black cod, as Danny said. I know a guy who has shown me photos and swears to me and wants to take me that 45 minutes from here, he can catch full speed, wide open black cod. And
Yeah,
not
there's
that
places.
deep of water.
There's been places.
Yeah?
I mean, Redondo Canyon one time
Right.
was loaded with all that. I mean, all over locally
Yes.
one time. But people got wind of it, and after they went from a junk fish to it goes from junk fish to an Epicurean's delight. And one of the best eating fish you could have. And you're paying prime money for it in Japanese restaurants and stuff like that. Especially done with miso and done a few other ways, but they just like melt in your mouth.
Oh my God, they're
It's
good, aren't
unbelievable.
they?
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Did you guys catch them in San Diego ever? No,
Only
right?
by accident.
Yeah.
You'd catch a few by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe those guys fishing on the 9 Mile bank back in the day. I
Could
have
be.
no idea
Could
about
be.
that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because whenever I worked in San Diego, it was offshore.
Well, and
pretty
not
much,
only
or
that,
the
and,
islands.
and the local guys down there, they had it down.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We went down. We were schooled on the islands up here, where those guys, anything south of San Diego was theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel Sarge says, Phil, do you know if anyone's coming from Redondo Beach to go on the 5-day trip? I need a ride. At this precise moment, no, I don't, Sarge, but we'll work on that together, kind of off the show. You know what I mean? I'll work with you. I'll help you out there. We'll see if we can find somebody. I'm sure somebody will give you a ride. Back on the theme of fishing Mexico, did you ever eat Chinese food in Mexicali? Do you know that whole thing?
No,
I asked
no.
a friend
I
of
heard
mine.
it's excellent, yeah, but I've never been.
Claudia, who was born in Mexicali, good friend of mine, she invited me down there one time to go to her father's birthday party. I drove down, went to the party, and came home that same day. She's such a close friend of mine. But I asked her, what's the best food in Mexicali? Where can I find some really good food? And she said, Chinese food. And I said, yeah, fine. That's funny. She goes, no, Chinese. Because the Chinese came to Mexicali many years ago to build the railroads, and they stayed. And man, I've been there and had the Chinese food. It's weird. It's just kind of, you know what I mean? You're looking for a chili relleno or a taco, and you're eating this really delicious, first-rate Chinese food.
Do they implement any of the Mexican spices, or they
You
they
know,
keep it
there
pretty
might
much,
be a little
keep it pretty
fusion.
much
I
yeah, that's what I was
don't
gonna say.
know. Yeah.
That's always a good thing, right?
Yeah,
You take
heck
the
yeah.
best of both cultures and you blend it in.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
food, right?
Sure,
When you start to
absolutely.
do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that.
Yep, for sure. I asked my wife the other day, I said, do you want some enchiladas? And I sort of got, you look at her long black hair, speaks Spanish. She said, what are enchiladas? And I go, oh, that's right. You don't have those in Costa Rica. I'll make them for you and see what you think. So, yeah, pretty funny stuff. The long range situation. Hey, there's Steve from the Freedom. You want to come out here and say hi?
Hey.
Come on, let's go.
Yeah, stick your
Get
head
over
in
there
there.
with Danny. Don't knock that camera over. Be careful. Do you want to be on the show?
Yeah.
Steve, you want to sit in my seat and grab my microphone? Good to see you, man.
see you.
Getting ready for the season?
Do you like the show today, this year?
Yeah, heck yeah. I always love the show, man. Bart's a good friend, and yeah, had a good time. Saw a lot of old friends, so it was good. Yeah.
Every time I go down to like the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Show, I
Yeah.
walk around, like, oh, I fed them, I fed her,
Oh, right.
all day long down there.
Galley cook on the Freedom, everybody, in case you don't know. That's what Steve does.
That is
Go out and look
a
at my
and
camera for
let
a
me tell
second.
you,
You guys
that's
keep
the
going.
toughest job on the boat, and I know because I've had to do it in emergencies when our cooks got sick or something. So
Yeah.
take care of them. They're more important than the
The most
skippers.
important guy on the
That's
boat.
right.
Who's that? The galley cook?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you darn right.
Heck yeah.
Man,
Well,
that
it
is.
looks like we're going to be running again this year.
Why don't you sit down here and talk to Danny for a second? And then I can mic you up and people can actually hear you.
Oh, God.
You want to do that or not? Yeah. All right. You ready for this guy, Danny?
Yeah.
All right, hang on.
Who's Danny?
Oh, my God. Don't move. Just hold still for 1 second here.
Oh,
Get you.
man.
Don't knock this off or anything, whatever you do. And behave yourself, Steve.
I've got better jokes than Tino.
Oh, my God. Tino. You love Tino's jokes. What are you talking about? All right, go in there and sit with
Awesome,
Danny and
awesome.
get rid of me for a second.
He's probably going to the head, so he probably needed a break anyway.
I could do that.
Oh, man.
Go ahead, Steve. Say something. Now you're on camera.
As you can see, it's winter time. I refuse to shave in the wintertime.
Yeah, when we all have jackets on. We'd be in shorts and flip-flops. And we're here in the summer, that's for sure.
So I did talk to Mark Paisano the other day, and boat comes out of the water in March. They're going to fix a few things, and they're going to get it going again. We still don't know who's running the boat.
Oh. That makes a
Trevor
big
won't be
difference.
back
Yeah,
this
sure.
year.
Breaking news.
I think they're gonna bring in another qualified captain. I know Tino had an excellent following on the boat. He'll be on the Amigo this year with
Tino
Mark.
running the boat when we were out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Tino was, yeah.
So Tino will be working with Mark Paisano on the Amigo 3 days a week. I'll be in the galley as usual. Weekends, I get on Friday night and I go through Tuesday or Wednesday. Just like last year, just like the year before. You have to come out and get yourself a Kong burger. It's a double bacon cheeseburger with pastrami and a fried egg and made with love. It's about that tall.
Oh, perfect.
Looking forward to another season. Hopefully, it won't be as windy this season as it was last year.
Well, you got a big boat, you know that. Those
Yeah,
Ditmars, they
but
handle it really. You know, they're.
I'm too old for
good.
wind.
We all
Old
are.
for wind.
But you're in a bigger boat, and those big old Ditmars, those 85-foot Ditmars, man, they'll go forever.
But
They're unbelievable. And they fish good.
The Freedom is the same age I am. We were born the same year, and we don't like the wind.
Yeah.
We
I don't
like
think
it
any of
when
us
it's
do.
nice out
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I've had some really fun days on that. We took it off on a goof off. And remember Fred Carrazzo? You remember Carrazzo? Well, Pat Conklin.
I'm not that old.
Oh, okay, Conklin was running the boat. We took a goof off. There was only, I think, 6 or 8 of us. I think Kenny Hess. There was a bunch of us that went on. We took the boat for a commercial trip, and Carrazzo was so tight. But the minute we dangled, we said, "Fred, we'll bring you a bunch of albacore." He said, "Okay, go." So we took it on a goof off. I think it was 6, 8 of us. I think total, and we killed them flat out. Killed 'em. We got them on the pole. You know.
Yeah.
And for a lot of those guys that hadn't fished commercial, that was their first pole fish, so it was pretty fun. But yeah, we had a blast.
Crew trips are fun.
Yeah, they were.
When the gas prices went up, they kind of went on the wayside. But
Yeah.
I used to cook for a guy named, Gary Nordby
Oh yeah, yeah.
on the
of course I
Blackjack
knew,
back
yeah.
in the late '80s, and we were always running out of SBI to get squid, and we go catch sea bass. And
Gary was a terror when he was on the outer limits because the speed on that boat. I mean,
I
he
loved
was
working
everywhere.
with that guy. I learned so much from him.
Yeah.
I learned how to fish and not to drink. God rest you, Gary. Gary was a good guy.
Yeah.
And a hell of a fisherman.
You couldn't miss that voice. I'll tell you that. His voice was
But yeah, I
so
spent
distinct.
2 years in the galley cooking for Gary. And I remember the good old story. So in the galley there, they had a little porthole going up to the wheelhouse right at the helm. And he'd open the door and, "Hey, give me a tuna fish sandwich." He had his little blue cap on and
Oh,
a
yeah.
Camel non-filter hanging out of his mouth. He'd go, I hand him up the sandwich, and the sandwich comes flying back through the hole and all over the galley. He goes, "What kind of frickin' tuna was that?" He goes, "Nothing but the white meat albacore." He wouldn't touch any. I made the
gave him
mistake.
chunk light?
He told me to get tuna, yeah. So I bought the cheap stuff, and I learned a lesson from that. When I first started working for Gary, though, it was neat. He goes, "Steve, come on up to the wheelhouse," and he'd sit there. He goes, "You got the most important job on the boat. You see everything, you smell everything. You let me know what's going on down on that deck, whether the deckhands are drinking or what have you. And at the end of the day, you grab those suckers by the ankles and you turn them upside down and you shake them out. Nobody leaves the boat with money."
Oh God.
Oh, Gary, who was a good one.
Oh man.
That was 1980, 88, I think.
88.
Yeah.
Let's see, what was that boat built in what, 80, maybe 82 or 81, something
Right?
like that.
Yeah,
right?
I think
I remember when he pulled in, when they first came down from Washington.
Gary Ingblom built the boat. I guess it was supposed to be longer and they ran out of money or something.
It
wouldn't fit in the harbor up there.
You know what it was too? Is the boats all built, the Kellys and the Drakes and stuff built up in Washington.
Right.
They didn't know Southern California fishing. So yeah, I can remember when he first brought it down, he parked right next to me. I had the Mustang right there, and then we had the crab tank. The old San Pedro Fish Market, old Tommy's place was there, right there. And I walked down the engine room, and I go down and I look up, and they had that bait tank, and it was on post. It was elevated above the deck. I'm going, the hell, that's a lot of weight to be having sitting on top. And then the through hole coming down from that big four scoop tank, the Pedros were going right above all the main engines. And I think there were he had not Cummins, but he had cats.
I
Cummins?
think there were cats in that.
Yeah. And they were sitting, the exhausts were coming right over the engines, and I'm going, who the hell built this? Well, those guys up in Washington never,
Right.
they don't do things like we do. We go, Gary, Man, if you suck
I
that,
think
you
Gary
suck
was the
some
one
salt
who-
water. It's,
Gary is the one that had it built. Ingblom was
yeah,
his name.
yeah.
And then I worked as a deckhand before Nordby, Emblem.
Emblem, yeah.
And then I actually worked as a deckhand for Dennis Lukenbach,
Oh, Murray.
briefly. And then that's when Gary took over the boat and I came back. But yeah, some good times back then. You know, I cooked for Buzz on the Prowler
Oh yeah,
for a couple
That's
of
an old
years.
friend, sure.
I was on the Fury for a couple of years.
With
back
Tim?
when John Haas.
Oh,
owned
Haas,
it.
that was before. Yeah,
Haas is still going. He lives up in Port Orford in Oregon.
I'll be dang.
Old man
Haas was a neat guy. I liked
loved
Haas.
working for him. I
he was
loved
such a
working for
Miller guy.
Buzz. Buzz was an amazing owner operator. Guy named Bradley Phillips was running the
I
boat
remember Brad.
before he ever got involved with the first string and stuff like that, because he was working on the Fury in Dana Point, and I worked with him for 2 years, and then we went to San Diego, and I worked under Brad and Buzz being my boss for another 2 years. And then I ended up on the Vagabond when Lance Withy owned it.
Oh my God.
So,
Yeah.
and Mike Lackey was running the boat, but he didn't own it yet. So I spent a season on the Vagabond and, you know, bounced around down there and got my feet wet in San Diego. This was back when even the cooks did a 2-hour wheel watch.
Oh yeah.
But
But I mean, you know, coming out, you did most of your time, the galley time down in San Diego. So you had your game elevated the minute you got down there, because
they used to
in the old days it was
They
hamburgers.
used to call my
bacon-
breakfast burrito down there. They called it the colon cruncher. That's where the burrito game started. Was on the
Perfect.
Prowler. You know, Buzz was great. It was cool back then, you know, because you just put in your order and Buzz would show up at the dock with his wife and a dock cart full of stuff. We were doing turn and burn.
Oh, yeah.
7 days a week down there.
Yeah.
Overnight trips, come back with 300 yellowfin and rotting in gunny sacks.
That must have been '83 El Nino.
Oh,
Was it El
jeez, it
Nino?
was crazy.
Those were ridiculous days.
Fun days down there. But yeah, it's been a cool experience working on the boats all these years, on and off. I've done a lot of other neat things, but definitely my heart is on the sea. For
Oh
sure.
yeah.
For sure. By the way, my jokes, if you come out on the Freedom, are way better than Tino's. Way
Take that,
better
Tino.
than Tino. Take that.
Tino, you left us high and dry. You never gave. Yeah, come on, cough him up, Tino.
Tino's a good guy. I talked to him the other day. I've known Tino for 35 years.
I'm sorry.
When he was a pinhead on the Thunderbird, and I was cooking on the Fury. That's how I
cool.
met Tino and Jeff Price, of course, and that whole crew. If we weren't fishing in Dana Point working, we were on the Thunderbird, the old Thunderbird,
Oh my God, yeah.
with Kenny Wager, and all those guys, Chongo. We'd bounce back and forth. But if we weren't working, we were on a boat fishing. And as soon as we get done fishing, we'd go back to work on the boat. So I've got thousands and thousands of days on the water, and I never, ever, ever want to be a licensed captain.
Yeah, I gave mine up a long time ago, so I could just sit in the galley now. Don't have no decisions, no holding the wheel. Yeah, I'm going to leave it to the pros.
Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Show's coming up. Friend of mine, Mike Bond, with another guy.
Yeah, he's been Western Adventures.
Filling all the spots there. Mike does a
Cool,
great job. Mike
cool.
and I went to high school together.
Oh wow.
He's a good friend of mine, lives down in San Clemente. But that's I like that show. It's amazing because the variety of everything that comes in there, and Mike and his buddy, they work real hard filling every single booth at that place. It's amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hey, boys, you want me to read a couple comments to you here? First
Sure.
of all, Steve Duncan says he can't believe how much gray hair you have.
Oh yeah.
At least he's got hair, Steve. Jeez.
Yeah, Phil's pretty bald.
Dave Hansen.
Dave.
You're a saltwater guy.
Hi, Dave.
He says sablefish are trash, number one. Dan Smith says hello to him. Chuck Zimmer says, how has fishing changed since you guys started until it is now? What are the different? You mentioned one thing, fish rotting in the gunny sacks. That's one,
it.
right?
And now you got RSWs.
RSW systems all the way. It's really amazing how well the fish is handled as of the past 5, 6, 7 years, really taken off. Even the pursuit has it now.
Yeah. Well,
You
let
know?
me tell you, I carried all Buddha heads, so you can imagine they were all bled,
Right.
slit, gutted.
Oh, did they do the
what-
Ikejime thing too?
This is a long time ago. There's
Yeah.
a lot
Right.
longer before the round eyes got into this stuff, man.
I just
Let me
have
tell you.
I have nightmares of gunny sacks full of yellowfin tuna just bleeding and smashed and anchovies
Oh, yeah.
everywhere.
That's
and
the way it
just a
was.
mess. But yeah, that's definitely I think the biggest improvement as far as fish handling goes is the RSW
Yeah.
brought in
Spiking
and,
them, bleeding them.
especially with the bluefin fishing, gilling
Oh,
and
yeah.
gutting, and
Yeah.
the quality of the fish when you get off ultimately is what you want.
Yeah.
These guys are coming out there to catch fish, and
Yeah.
they're getting a nice product when at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
If they
And
can
and
catch
you
fish.
Imagine if we get albacore again, because albacore, if you do, if you cut the gills, pull them out, because as oily as they are, they sit in the sun at all.
Yeah.
Ugh, yuck.
So,
Yeah.
one fury story. Brad Phillips was running the boat, and we were out by San Clemente Island, and I'm not joking. I caught a bluefin, a yellowfin, and an albacore all on the same day.
Slam.
All three of them. They were peanuts, but they were all mixed together. This is probably mid-90s. Caught all three. I don't think I've ever heard of that one before.
That's
And
a
I've
goodie.
caught all three of those
That's a goodie.
species in one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer I guess question, it's amazing how well the fish is handled these days.
It's changed, yeah. Well, you start thinking about it. Back in the old days, what were tuna for? Canning, right? For the most part, guys caught them, turned them in. They could be smashed, whatever, and you got your full weight for it. But once they got into guys started going into sushi bars and figuring out what they're worth when they're kept nice, it changed. It changed the methodology on that real quick.
I'd like to stay here and talk all day. I have a 5 o'clock appointment. We're gonna go.
Can I read you just a couple more comments
Sure.
and then I'll let you go? Thank you for this. Has been great. The two of you guys reminiscing. We're gonna do this again for sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Jonathan Jones says the Freedom was my first love back in the 1960s. It had two big exhaust stacks, one on each side of the bait tanks. Great memories. But now you got me ready for a boat burger. You talked him into that, Steve.
You come out and you get yourself a Kong, and I'll make it with love.
A King Kong.
That's the Kong, double bacon cheeseburger, pepper jack,
Woo!
pastrami, and a fried egg on top. With a toasted
Wow.
bun and my secret sauce.
First time I had a fried egg on a hamburger was in the Cook Islands. They did it there, so I was like, well, that's weird. That's pretty good. I like that. Robert Graber just wants to say good afternoon. Sends you his very best. Dane says, glad to see fish handling addressed on this podcast. Times change for the better.
Immensely.
Absolutely.
Immensely. Thank you, Phil, for having me step in. I'm gonna
Dave,
go.
you're the man.
All right.
I'm gonna go send off a friend.
Don't get excited when I
sounds
put my
good.
hands in your shirt here. Okay? Just calm yourself down, please.
yeah.
Danny.
Hey,
It's been a pleasure.
we'll have to do it again for sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Steve, thanks.
Phil, give me a hug.
I love you, man.
man.
You too. Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
And blessings to you. I know this is an
this
emotion.
mine?
Huh?
Is this mine?
What a crook, man. We're too cheap around
Not
here.
a crook. I'm the cook.
Hey, blessings to you, Steve.
Guys on the
All right. Take
All
care.
right. Hey, that was good stuff.
Oh, that's
Listening to you
awesome.
two guys
That's
reminisce,
awesome.
man. Fantastic. Danny, we're about ready to wrap this up because, as all of you know, we have Tackle Shop Confessions
right. That's
live
right.
at 6
You gotta
o'clock.
say
Do
hello.
you have another question or anything for Danny before we run off? We've covered a lot today. One thing I will mention to all of you out there, and I know Danny will be interested in this, the long range down there, Hurricane Bank, has been windy and rough and crummy. It's just been really tough couple of days. And then yesterday, the weather laid down and the cows came out to play. They had 4 big cows on board the Independence yesterday. And then the rest of their fish were between 160 and 190. They had a 205, a 220.
Quality.
Yeah. And the Royal Polaris got a little taste of that before he had to start straight lining for San Diego. But, man, some good long-range fishing.
Unbelievable.
I bet you're getting ready for a year. When's your trip? June, right?
June.
American
We got a couple
Angler?
of them. I got the angler trip. Back to back. I got the Bay of LA, and then I think I got a week off, and then we're
When's
on
your
there.
Bay of LA trip?
That's going to be like I'm going down with the Atomi and the guys again. My brother, and we're going.
You know when that is?
Early June.
That sounds awesome.
Like this second week of June. And
Yeah.
like I said, I have a week off in between the 7 days down there and then the 8 there. So.
What can I say,
been
ladies
busy.
and gentlemen? The Danny Kadota Show. Danny, always a
Philip,
pleasure.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
You
I
guys
know
take
Dan
care.
is out there, and he's going to punch us off the air when we tell him to. He's out there
Hey,
playing. talking with
wait.
girlfriend.
What happened to Michael?
Hey, it's
Mike!
the under, man. Go ahead.
He had one big one, and we didn't see it, but it pulled him underneath the thing and broke off.
Man, Michael lost a big one.
jeez.
For those of you who have the under bet, you can redeem your winnings with Dan Lightfoot for sure. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us.
All right.
Hit that like button before you go anywhere. Danny, once again, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Take care,
Thanks for
everybody.
tuning in, guys.